I can't tell how this look at all. I
You
can't
look
even
right.
see myself. You know I wear glasses.
Put your glasses on.
Hard. And I have to go all the way downstairs to get it.
Okay, well, trust, you look great. Let me put. Oh my goodness. Okay. Okay, so it's about to start streaming to the group.
Yeah. Great.
I love a little bit of the tattoo I can see on your arm. I'm too afraid to have a real tattoo.
Oh, really? You can see that? I have a half a sleeve here and a half a sleeve here.
Oh, very good. Let's see. All right, we're about to. Hold on 1 second.
I was so nervous. I'm not gonna be able to log in. I logged in, saw you, and heard you for a split second, and then the audio thing popped. I was like, oh my god. Yeah.
It's gonna be all right. We just gonna talk just like we did at the hospital, girl. It's gonna be all right. Okay, about to go live. Okay. Okay, it's saying that we are live. Awesome.
Yes.
So I'm so excited for this young lady that you see here. Well, let me back up for a second. You know, I'm Tavana Denise, and I am hosting this Breaking Protocol series. This series is called Women in Healthcare Breaking Protocol, because I think it is so important for us as women. First of all, we're taught to play inside the sandbox well with other people, draw inside the lines and things like that. And that is amplified when we work in healthcare and we have to follow certain protocols, which is definitely a good thing for our patients. But on the flip side, when it comes to living our lives and doing the things that really make our spirit shine, it makes us very afraid. So what I wanted to do in this series is to bring women that I have met and had a connection with that are doing things differently, to kind of open your eyes, open your minds, open your heart to other options in terms of how we think, how we see ourselves, how we move about the world, and how we handle our business. And today we have Ms. Maria, the Phoenix Griffin. She's just going to come out and share her story. I have no idea where this conversation is going to go, just like the rest of them that we've had, all one of them. This is number 2. And hopefully you all get something from this. The reason why I have Maria on here is, like, you never know what brilliance is working next to you. And she and I connected. I don't even know why we started talking that day. Maybe you remember, but I was like, people need to hear this. So I want to share the bio with you first. She calls herself a Jill of trades. She's an EMT, clinical assistant, self-named internet chef. LOL, she just likes to post her dishes. And a drink enthusiast, connoisseur, a friend to some, but family to most. And most importantly, she's a mom, and a cool one at that. I mean, can you just not see the aura coming off of this lady? And at least that's what her kids tell her. So that is Miss Maria Griffin. And I want to share with you the brilliance that she said to me while we were talking in that conversation, and you'll understand why I brought her on today. So we were having a conversation, and you all know, if you follow me on Facebook at Tavana Denise, that I love quotes. I love quotes. I love quotes so much that I just found a book that I wrote back in 1993, y'all. That was nothing but a book of quotes, like old school printer, dot matrix, if you even know what that means, right? And so I listen for the nuggets. And this is what this beautiful, brilliant human being said when we were talking. She said, I'm here for my inner peace and badass bank account. And so I said, these were wise words from my coworker as we were talking about Christmas and the pressure of giving a zillion gifts, even if you don't have the money, and coworkers walking around the hospital grumpy and pouting because they have to work. I said, if you don't want to do holidays, maybe you shouldn't work in a hospital. She, Ms. Maria, said, maybe you should change your mindset. And what occurred after was a great exchange about how we love working when others don't, i.e. weekends and holidays. And why? Because we found the good reasons. It gives us joy and power. She said, I'm here for my inner peace and badass bank account. And it was too good not to share. So so I'll let you tell me a little bit about your thoughts when you said that to me. Or just like why you have that mentality.
It was so many. You know what? It was great. First of all, thank you for sharing this with me and giving me this opportunity. I love to share. I don't always have the opportunity to, though. So when you and I started talking, I think it was something about as simple as, did you work the holidays? And I went, yeah. And then we just started talking about it because there was some people, other people that were kind of walking around like, I'm still here. I've been here for Christmas. I've been here for this. I've been here for that, New Year's. And we were just kind of like, whatever. So the inner peace and badass bank account. Inner peace came from a place that wasn't like the learning that it was a necessity came from an unpeaceful place. And it's something I've been working on for over a decade. We were talking about Christmas. So the conversation was about Christmas and why I don't mind working and why it's just not a big deal. I think often a good number of us thinks that we have to live up to what the societal norms are, what's socially acceptable because it's Christmas. I'm supposed to be off work. I'm supposed to cook a big dinner. I'm supposed to have all this luxury and gifts and time off, 2 weeks at least from work because I'm going to do it big or whatever they call it. And that's just not it. You know, if you don't have all that, which a lot of us don't, you'll run yourself ragged just mentally thinking about how much you don't have, you know, when really change your mindset. If you think about how much you do have, it won't matter if you're off work, working a double, or don't work at all, because you'll be like, hey, guess what I do have? I still got a roof over my head. Or maybe you living with somebody. I don't care. I don't care. You could be living with someone. It could be you and your kids. You may or may not have kids, which is a big deal nowadays for some people. What the fact that they don't or the fact that they do. We're all different. We all have different circumstances. And if we are always comparing ourselves to, you know, the haves and the have-nots, or again, what societal tells us is acceptable or should be, then we'll be in a conundrum. It'll just be a continuous cycle, a vicious cycle of trying to play catch up or trying to be like. And that ain't cool to do to yourself.
So on that, in that vein, can you tell them the story about how you and your daughter started the Christmas tradition?
Oh yeah, for sure. So I love this because again, this is a part of me finding my peace. It was 2009 going into 2010. Uh-oh, sorry if that messed up my video. I'm back. Yes, okay. All right. It was Christmas. Had my 2 girls. I was in school at the time. I was finishing up EMT school. And I was like, Christmas is coming around. I got to get my girl something. But I was working a part-time job. I think I was doing like club promotions. And I may or may not have had a couple of gigs coming up. And it was, $200 here, $200 there. And I was extremely worried about not having money, to get Christmas gifts. So, everybody's in the Christmas spirit. Oh, I'm going shopping. Have you done your shopping yet? Mind you, it's well into December. I have not done Christmas shopping yet. I'm paying my phone bill. Okay. I'm saving money for taxis, so I still have to work. I was depressed and I was broke and worried because I just knew I wasn't going to give my girls a big Christmas. So I called my mom, told her, how I felt. She was like, oh, don't worry about it. I'm going to get the girls something. Your grandparents, thank God, both of them still living. My grandparents, their great grandparents, always send them, big Christmas box. But again, it wasn't coming from me, their mom. And so it just bothered me. I was a young mom trying to get back, to being on track, so to speak, and just feeling like I wasn't there. And then Christmas was the catalyst of it all, because I don't have the money. I don't have the big house. I don't have the gifts. I couldn't do it. So my grandma tells me, you can't worry about that girl face. That's her nickname for me. I don't know why. Girl face. You can't worry about that girl face. We're going to take care of those kids. And I'm like, Mommy, but it's me. She said, well, you can't get them everything right now. Get what you can. Worry about it later. I heard her, but I didn't. Slept on it a couple days. And then something just came to me and said, hey, you act like these girls don't know who you are. You're their mom. You're there with them day in and day out. You love them. You know your kids. Talk to them. They were little, though. So I said, well, I guess I could talk to them. So I pulled them to the side. Little Alex, little Maria, because I have a junior.
That's pretty badass in and of itself.
I pulled them to the side and I'm like, girls, Mommy loves you so much. And, and they're like, we love you, Mommy. They're so affectionate. They were such affectionate babies. And, we're holding each other. And I said, Mommy wants you to know I'm going to, get you a Christmas and you're going to get some gifts for me. But we're probably going to have to get some more gifts later when I have more money. But, of course, Grandma and Granddaddy are going to get you gifts and this and that. So they were like, okay, Mommy, we know. So, wow, that's really understanding. I said, well, we'll go shopping together. We'll do all this stuff together. So as it turns out, a friend of mine for Christmas sent me about $400 for Christmas. My grandparents, again, brought them this huge box. I got a big payout for the promotions that I did over the Christmas holiday. So by the time all these checks started coming in, I probably ended up with something under $2,000. Okay. But I still had bills, right? And it came after Christmas. So I tell the girls, we're going to go shopping. And mind you, it's after January. It's probably like January 2nd. So all the New Year blowout sales are happening. I mean, we go shopping. I cannot tell you how much stuff I bought. Game systems, video games, clothes, shoes, outfits, toys. So we ended up saying, like, after that, they were like, we want to do this again. We got everything we wanted. Yay. They had a Barbie house that was my height. Okay.
Oh.
And I think we might have spent like $430.
And got all that stuff?
We got all that stuff.
Wow.
So they didn't miss a beat. It wasn't, Christmas Day wasn't that important. What was important was I was with my girls. They were happy. They had everything they wanted, regardless. Before Christmas Day even happened, when we had that conversation, they understood and they were like, Mommy, we love you. We put this pressure on ourselves to the standard of whoever made that standard when you can create your own. So now, a decade later, my kids get up on Christmas morning, hey, Merry Christmas. I'm like, probably via FaceTime because I'm probably at work, and then it is what it is because I've spent the time with my kids. We still love each other. We're still thick as thieves, heavily bonded, you know, and that day don't make a difference in our years.
Mm, that's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, because I remember being the opposite. Like, I grew up in a similar situation with a single parent as a mom, and I remember having a Christmas like that where my mom was like, as an adult now, I look back and I was like, my mom was exhausted, and she ran out of time. She ran out of time to do the shopping, and we got up that morning because before my dad left, we had all the presents. Like, we had, you know how you have the 3-person couch and the love seat, the 2-person couch. So since I'm the oldest, I would get the 3-person couch, and my little brother, who's 6'2" now, would get the little couch. And so we went from, I get the big couch full of gifts plus Christmas presents under the tree, and then he had that, to mom was adjusting, trying to figure it out. And she was exhausted trying to run a thing by herself, and we didn't have money. We went from a lot of money to very little money. And I didn't handle things like your daughters did. So I appreciate your story so much because of the strength that it showed, the beautiful connection that you and your girls have, and how you all were able to create a new tradition just by understanding that day didn't mean anything to the years that you all had together. So, and I think about that too when it comes to like motherhood, and you and I talked a little bit about mindset and stress, and if we can shift a little bit to like how sometimes we put a lot, society and we ourselves put a lot of pressure on ourselves and causes stress and mental health challenges. And so I'd love to hear your take on, since we talked about it just a very little bit in terms of mindset and mental health for healthcare professionals. Like, what are your thoughts about that and the taboo around it?
You know what? I that's such a soft spot for me. But I don't mind talking about it at all. I love it. It's a soft spot because I've been there. I've been stressed, extremely stressed. Even just dealing with work. It, like, if we isolated one thing that has work stressed me out, absolutely, at some points, you know. And I realized that I'm not the only person that gets stressed with work, but we don't talk about it. We candidly mention it amongst each other. You know, we show it in brief moments, you know, like, oh my God, I can't believe I got this. But you get up and you get back on the ball and you're working again, and you kind of work through it, which I think works for a lot of healthcare professionals. We work through it because we got a long 12-hour shift, and who can just sit there and wallow, you know, in their stress when we have other people, sick people, that need us. I don't think we talk about it enough. I don't think we do enough about it, as far as helping each other. And I think it's hard to identify. I think it's hard to discuss because you know, they say healthcare workers are the worst patients.
Yes.
I think we do a lot of masking. We're great actors. When it comes to our stress, we do a lot of masking because we put our patients before us, and even our facilities. Our facilities, you know, patient advocacy. Always do this for the patient. Always make sure you have a listening ear. Don't just talk at them, listen to them. And all of these things I respect and try to do every time I come to work. However, there needs to be an even acknowledgement as to how we need to be acknowledging ourselves and each other, and listening to each other and listening out for certain things with your colleagues, because we miss so much. We as healthcare workers, we skip the pleasantries a lot with each other. We don't even speak in the morning. If we get out on the floor and we get to talk and it's like, hey, good morning, did you see the patient in 52? Because blah, 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 blah. And then we just run into it. not knowing that this person just came out of a 30-minute meeting with management about something that happened with a patient 6 months ago, and they got you know.
Good point.
We do this every single day, but we skip the pleasantries with each other because I know she know we at work. We got the same floor. We've been working. We got the same patients we've had for the last 2 days. We know what's going on here. We know what's going on there. Look, I got work to do. She got work to do. And we just roll off the tongue with it. I don't think it necessarily, it doesn't bother everybody right off. You know, I think it's something that kind of just builds. It's like a layer by layer type of thing. And so, you know, we go on about our day, we skip over a lot with each other, amongst each other, and we focus so much on the patient that when we get home, we're dejected. We don't want to talk. We need to decompress. You know, and that's supposed to be how you feel after 12 hours, but that's not necessarily true.
So you bring up a lot of interesting points, and I think I try to, when I get to the floor, speak to people and shoot the breeze, but I do catch myself sometimes like, hey, how you doing? Okay, can I see so-and-so? So then the question becomes, right, because you're like, we still productivity from the way we do ours, right? So then the question becomes like, how do we start to care for one another, have the pleasantries and thus and so forth? Like, how do we start that?
We have to start thinking about each other like we think about everyone else, like we think about our patients. When we walk into a room and introduce ourselves to our patients, good morning, my name is Maria. I'll be here to help you, XYZ. I'm working with your nurse, or I'll be working with respiratory therapy, or I'm working with this person. We actually stop, wait for them to say, oh, hey, good morning, Maria. Nice to meet you. What are you going to do again? And we listen and we process. We have to do that with each other. You know, we actually have to take that time to listen and say, oh, hey, good morning. How you doing? They may say good. They may say bad. When people ask me how I'm doing now, I actually answer. And then I ask them, so what about you?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting that you say that, the whole how are you doing? And like, I have stopped people in their tracks because I don't say fine, okay, hanging in there. I may say stupendous. I may say excellent, terrific. I may say terrible.
Right.
I may say exhausted. Like, what is it? And one of my coaches offered up a different way to ask a question that I thought was fascinating. She said to ask people, how do they feel? As opposed to how they're doing. And I thought it's interesting because of the way I coach people in causal coaching. We talk about how people's thoughts generate their feelings, like you and I have been talking about mindset. And so that subtle shift in how you doing to how do you feel? I don't think enough people get asked that question. How do you feel? And it's interesting.
My track too, because I go, you know, I've never had to ask me that.
Yeah, how do you feel? And it's an interesting thing to think about, right? Because in my coaching, I spend so much time and effort educating people on feelings, i.e. one-word emotions. Happy, sad, angry, glad, exhausted, excited, terrific, terrible, frustrated, annoyed, those kind of things, right? And we can't get to the why a person feels that way unless we know what they're thinking. But to your point, I think we're good actors and actresses, and we won't open up and say how we're feeling, how we're thinking. Do we even know how we're feeling? Like, how many times I have to correct somebody when I say, how did that make you feel? And they give me, well, I feel like she's disrespected. I'm like, nope, that's a thought. How did it make you feel? Oh, I felt disrespected. Oh, okay. Why did you feel disrespected? Because I think she was talking to me like I was 2 years old. Mm-hmm. Or is that true? Right. So then we have somewhere to go with it.
Right.
Versus the standard, I'm fine, hanging in there, doing all right. And you're right. A lot of people say, how you doing? Like, that is the greeting.
Right.
There's no expected response.
Exactly.
Yeah. So how do you take care of your own mental health? When you say you've been there, I totally have been there. Life coaching changed my life and it taught me a framework to manage my thoughts and feelings. How did you get to the new attitude, the new mindset that you have today?
Practice. Um, Lots of practice. Well, I had to. Okay, so initially, there's this. Remember, I said I just didn't have that peace. I was looking for peace,
Mm-hmm.
so I had to learn how to how to find it, or what was going to be peaceful for me. So at the time, I needed to better my chances at a better career, which is why I went to EMT school. I had to suck it up a little bit and understand that, hey, you're going to work a part-time job while you go to school full-time. And that's going to take some time, and you're not just going to end up making, buku money and, grab a house, grab a car, and then, everything just be with the white picket fence and perfect. So change your mindset. I had to understand that this was a part of my process and that the white picket fence might not be a part of my process, but I'm on the way to being better. And I have to get there. When you want something, you want it right then and there. And so you become depressed because you don't have it. It's like, oh yeah, I want to be able to have Christmas for my kids. I want this money. I want this job. I want this degree, blah, blah, blah. But all of those things don't come like that at all. And you think that you're supposed to have them because that's what the world shows you. That's perfect. The white picket fence, the kids, the car, the great job, strong woman. But that's not how every strong woman looks.
Mm.
And that's not every strong woman's process. Like, people come up from different places, different circumstances, and so on and so forth. Honestly, it took me about a year to accept that because I was just angry that I didn't have it. For what? I had family that supported me. I did great in school. My kids were dream children to have. I really had a lot of things going in my favor that I couldn't acknowledge. I couldn't see it because I saw the white picket fence that I didn't have.
Mm. So how did you start along that journey because it sounds like a process but how did you get from I'm upset because I don't have this white picket fence to, okay, you're accepting it and you're moving towards becoming better?
Understanding that, well, I was already doing better because I was actually doing something, going in that direction, understanding that and accepting it, and being okay with, hey, you know what, this might not go and become the exact vision, that I have, but it might even be something bigger and better. And that's okay. I had to ask myself, why do I want the white picket fence? Who told me that's what I needed? Do I think that's what I need? Is that really what I want? Not really. I mean, hey, if I go ahead and I get my degree and, me and the kids have this, we get our house and I can get to and from, as long as my babies are happy, I think I'm gonna be okay. When I became okay with that, I realized I really already had it.
Isn't that so awesome? Yeah, it's interesting. A friend of mine and I were talking about how when he actually looked at his vision board, pretty much everything on the vision board was a quote bigger, better version of what he already had. And
Yeah.
so once he got into that space of I have everything that I want and need right now, then he could stop being frustrated and burning up all his mental energy around being upset about not having the thing. And now he has way more than what was on the vision board. I think that's so interesting how that happens.
It is, because you'll be content. Okay, so throughout that time, I'll tell you this. Okay, went to school, started school, and before I got a job, because I said, well, I can't keep doing this promotions because it's not steady money. It was driving me nuts. And I was roommating with a girlfriend of mine, and that was only going to be temporary. So she was like, girl, just get out there and look for something else and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So another friend of mine was like, man, will you help me go apartment hunting? I was like, yeah, sure, I don't care. So I help him go apartment hunting. He finds something. He goes, you should apply too. And I'm like, for what? Like, I don't have steady income right now, or you must be crazy. I'm not doing it. That's stupid. He's like, just do it. You never know what might happen. I'm gonna help you look for another job. You've been looking. You're gonna find something. Okay. So grudgingly, I applied for this apartment. They ended up approving me. The same day I got the approval was the same day I got a full-time job.
Whoa.
I like to have flipped my wig. Now, the job, I wasn't making very much. I think I brought home about $800 a month. A month, not $800 a week, not every 2 weeks. It was like $800 a month, okay? I was working from like 4 a.m. to 9 because I had class at 10. Did not have a car. So it was kind of difficult getting to work. To school from work, because work was actually down the street from my new apartment. So I could ride my bike or, jog to work. I was working at a gym anyway, so that worked out a lot, that I could just wear fitness clothes. Anyway, long and the short of it is, I got the apartment. The apartment cost me $600 a month. I made $800 a month. Maybe sometimes I make $900 or $1,000 if I worked a couple extra hours. My refrigerator was always full. I was always home from my class to meet my kids at the bus stop, cook them dinner. And these little girls, they had some mature taste buds, might I add. So they'd be like, Mom, are we having shrimp pasta today? But we had great meals. This is how I got to cooking so much too. But we would eat so good, and man, I just had it all. I didn't have to have a car. I had a means to do whatever it was that I needed to do. And at this point in my life, my wants were synonymous with my needs. So every single thing was met. And it was just peace. It was like, I got it, finally. And then everything else proceeded.
I love that. So as we get ready to wrap up, I'd love for you to tell me, like, if you were to, what you know now, knowing what you know now, if you were to go back to 10, 15 years ago, what would you tell your younger self?
Girl.
Like, what's the top 1 or 2 things you would tell your younger self?
I would choke myself to sleep now. What would I tell? 10 or 15 years ago? Oh man, that's a good question. I don't know. One thing that sticks out to me is slow down. The thought process. Just slow down. Everything doesn't have to happen at once. And embrace your time. Embrace your process. It's okay to make mistakes, but it's okay to fix them. You got to own them. Own them. Don't be afraid to own them. I was really afraid of owning my mistakes, or what I considered a mistake, or what my family considered mistakes. I was afraid of that, but nobody's perfect, and that's okay.
Nobody's perfect, and that's okay. I love that. Thank you so much, Maria, for joining us in this process, for being so real and open and sharing your story and how you think with us. I hope it touches so many people that will hear and watch and listen to this in the future. And we are going to go to the Facebook group, because I promised people that they would get an opportunity to chat with us, because it's like,
yes, that'll be fun.
Like, at least for me anyway, whenever I've been listening to a podcast, sometimes, hush, Tavana. Anyways, sometimes you're listening to something you want to be able to, like, yes, and you want to be able to interact with the person or ask them a question or something that maybe the host didn't ask. So Let's see. Is there anybody still watching us? And if they have any questions or comments. So this is me. Okay, Hannah's hoping that there will be a replay because she can't stay on long. No problem. This will be in the group. All right. And there's a bit of a lag, so I'm going to give it another 30 seconds if anybody's on and wants to type a question or a comment for Maria while we have her as our guest. I will give them a bit of time, and then we will let everybody go on about their day.
So awesome. This is so much fun. We have to do this again.
Well, we're definitely doing happy hour, virtual happy hour inside the group.
Oh yeah, oh, I did see that.
Yeah, so we'll get to have more actual group conversations around this.
Right.
Awesome. I do not see any questions popping up, but I want to again thank you so much for everything.
Thank you for having me.
I will see you in the group.